Hello and welcome back to Germany. We are in Denkendorf. We just came down by train all the way from Cologne, took an S-Bahn over here, did a little bike ride. Belen is back behind the camera and we're here at the Pinion headquarters. And Pinion, as you may know, produces gearboxes for bikes. You can see them in these pictures here. We have been cycling with a Pinion gearbox for the past 8 months or so. And on this factory tour, we're finally able to see the production of each gearbox, to meet some of the people behind the company, hear the stories of the company itself, and we also get a little nudge at the future. These gearboxes are extremely interesting from a technological standpoint. Here, for example, you have the P118. That's a great gearbox for touring, and it replaces the need for derailleurs and sloppy drivetrains, cassettes, those kind of things. You don't have to do it with any more grease or oil, lube or anything. It's a sealed gearbox and it's as simple as can get. Anna, actually, Remote Anna on Instagram, she introduced us to the gearbox and in fact to the Terrain Outback. She's put very nicely here in the office. And we're going to check out the office today. So this is Anna, this is the Pinion headquarters, and this is episode 3 of the factory tour. So Dirk, nice to finally meet you in person here at the headquarters. It's a beautiful building. I'd like to ask you right away the story of Pinion, the story of the company, when you came on, first ever gearbox bike. There's a lot to talk about here. So can you run us through from the beginning to the present?
Yeah, Pinion is founded in 2008 by the two founders, Christoph and Michael. Yeah. They came from Porsche that days. And they developed gearboxes for automotives, for sports cars actually. And they had the challenge in mind that they really want to establish a gearbox for bicycle which is as durable and maintenance free as a auto gearbox or car gearbox. And this idea actually founded in 2006, but the company itself it founded in 2008. And I came in 2010-11, where the brand was more and more important to build around the product. Yeah. And this is my core business here. And we have almost 60 people working here in Denkendorf, nearby Stuttgart. And it's a lot of fun and it's super exciting being with Pinion over more than 10 years now.
Right. So what I understand is that there were more or less 3 years of, I guess, concept creation for this gearbox.
True.
And when it was ready to go into production in 2011, you came on board to help with that.
The proof of concept actually was done in the Himalaya mountains actually in 2011. Wow. A friend of Christoph went there and he took 2 gearboxes, one in the backpack and one in his bike. It was a prototype. A zero serious production gearbox, if you like. Yeah. So, and he went there to the highest road in the world, very high, long distances, and there was no issue at all. Yeah. And that was the time when Michael and Christoph decided we will go for serial production. We are safe now. The proof of concept is done, and it took 4 years to develop and 1 to 2 years more to really establish a serial production, which now took 10 years now, and we have now over 100 bicycle suppliers or bicycle brands we partner with.
And what about this bike? Because this is the first ever gearbox on a bicycle?
That's true, yeah. From our knowledge, it's the first patent of a gearbox bike.
Yeah.
It's almost 100 years old.
Wow.
This bike actually is from 1936, and a customer of us brought it to us 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. He has plenty Pinion bikes now. He's a real fan, and his father actually owned this bike, and he restored it and makes it look new, and it works. There are 3 gears inside this drivetrain in the center of the bike, and now we are able to do the same with 18 speed in the same place. And we are very proud to have this legacy here in our small department. Yeah, it's really cool to have it.
It's quite a compliment to the development.
Yeah, it's really a compliment, and it looks very nice here in the environment.
So Lucas, we're here at the production of the gearboxes. I think everyone's on lunch break currently, so we have a noiseless environment for you to show us around. Basically, what we're wondering is how the box comes together. In this case, the C1.12 that we are also using.
Exactly.
Can you show us the process in a nutshell?
Yeah, I'd love to. So basically, your gearbox that you're running on your bike, or every C-line gearbox, consists of a magnesium housing.
Yeah.
And to put together our gearbox, we have different components and different pre-assemblies. And the housing is one pre-assembly, which I'll show you first, and then we'll run through the whole line. Basically, every gearbox is getting little parts which mount your gearbox to the frame. They're just pressed in onto a plate to ensure that every gearbox is produced the same.
Yeah.
And also that you, once you have to assemble or deassemble your gearbox from your bike, you don't have any problems to yank it out.
Yeah.
Mainly our 2 housings are put together with all the bearings and bushings, which we need to seal the gearbox to the environment. After our first run is completed, we have the 2 parts, which I just mentioned. So they're fully assembled now.
Yeah.
And now the gearbox would be quite empty without a shifter shaft and a drive shaft, so we need to assemble those.
Okay, and that depends also on which exact gearbox type you're going to assemble, right?
Exactly. The gear ratios between each gear are a bit closer together.
Yeah.
So in case you're having a lot of bags on your bike or a lot of luggage, it's more easy to get up a hill because the gear ratios are slower increasing than in the C line, for example.
Exactly, or the C line is bigger steps.
Or, for example, our C6 line is especially for cargo bikes or for bikes where you don't need a lot of gearing.
Right.
So the gear ratios are quite hard between each other, which is mainly for transport purposes.
And for the C1.12, there's not actually 12 rings inside?
No.
Because that's what I always thought. There's actually 7?
Exactly.
3 and 4.
So every gearbox consists of 2 gears, or let's say 2 gearbox parts. Yeah. And it's similar to a conventional bike where you have bigger chain rings on the front and a cassette on the back. Yeah. Which might have 2 chain rings in the front and 8 on the back, so it's 2 by 8. Yeah. And here, for example, we have on your gearbox that you're using, we have a 3 by 4, which equals 12 gears. The inside of our shifter shaft consists of a little crankshaft and is quite easily put together. Okay. Then we have our shifter shaft, and which is also already pre-assembled due to our worky production. Right. And we have little springs inside, which actually put the tension into the shifter shaft later on. Then the crankshaft goes inside of the shifter shaft and is then equipped with these little guys. These are sitting in these pockets. Yeah. And once you equip all the pockets, on every shifter shaft, 2 gears are actually engaged.
Yeah.
Like I told you just now.
Exactly.
This is a 3x4, which equals 12, and some of the gears are not engaged, for example these.
Yeah.
And this is now in first gear, so you have 1 gear engaged, which you can hear by the click.
Right.
And another gear engaged, which you all can hear by the click. So these 2 gears are actually the ones putting down all the power onto your drivetrain.
Right.
Now it's time to actually get the gears inside of our gearbox.
Yeah.
So we have our also pre-assembled housing, which goes onto this. Putting on, ensuring that the seal is properly seated, and more or less ensuring that your crank is tightened. So later on, you don't have any problems while driving and your gearbox is falling apart. Then we have our planetary gears, which ensure that you're actually able to shift later on.
Yeah.
With some oil, that it's also smooth. And now we just have to put on the other side of the gearbox. So then it's just a matter of screwing the 2 halves together. And once we have a green light, we know our bolts are tied properly, and now the gearbox is ready to be tested and filled with oil. Actually,
the oil, it doesn't add much weight after
every gearbox only has 60 or 40 milliliters of oil.
Okay, so this is pretty much the final weight.
The final weight. So if I do every step one after another, a gearbox should be roughly finished in 25 minutes.
Amazing. And the testing?
And including testing.
Including testing, so 25 minutes for gearbox.
Yep.
Wow, that's an incredible number for something so incredibly complicated, but simple at the same time.
Exactly. So now that our gearbox is filled with oil, we can actually run it through our testing. And every gearbox is tested on its different parts that have to be running. The one side is shifting, the other side is the gearing ratio, and also the way the gears combine to each other. Similar to the way you would ride your bike. Yeah. So every gear needs to be tested, and also every shift needs to be tested.
Right.
So that's what our machine here does.
Amazing.
And in the end, if all worked out, we should get a green dot right here, and it'll be good to go to our customers.
Just from a perspective of someone who would buy a gearbox like this, what is the procedure if something were to happen? For example, we were in Kyrgyzstan recently, we cycled a lot, we really banged up the bike. I'm sure a couple of rocks hit the gearbox. In our case, nothing happened. But what if something were to happen, maybe on the inside of the gearbox or something on the outside? What are the procedures for a regular customer to get in touch with you and get things repaired or replaced?
Okay, yeah, first of all, this system is the most reliable system on the market actually. So this is something we can really say because we test each single gearbox. You just saw it downstairs in our production that we test every single gearbox before sending out to the customer or to the bicycle brand. That means we have an end-of-line test bench where the gearbox is tested under load in each gear, one by one. And this is something which is totally unique in the industry. Nobody else does it. And this ensures that when our test bench is not able to break the gearbox, you are not able to break it as well. Because the construction of the gearbox is so solid, so good, that there is no issue. And when you buy a Pinion bike, for example, there is no adjustment needed. You don't need to adjust anything on the drivetrain anymore. There is no maintenance actually, because you drive or you ride 10,000 kilometers without an oil change. So when the customer really have an issue, which occurs from time to time, then it is that there are seals which are worn out, for example, and you have a slightly covered oil film all over the gearbox. It happened, but this is actually not a big issue. We will fix it, and you have additional 2 years of warranty after that.
Okay, after each repair.
After each repair, yes.
And can that be infinite? Can you get a 2-year warranty after every repair?
That's the case. Each Pinion Care service will extend your warranty on the gearbox additional 2 years.
Okay.
Again and again and again.
It's a very forthcoming policy.
And
I guess
it comes,
really
so this the P118 gearbox here on the table, it comes with a 5-year warranty in advance.
Okay.
And actually, yes, we know there's no issue. There are no breakings inside. If you don't have a really bad damage on it, like an accident, if you hit a rock or a car or something like that, if you really have a bad accident, then sometimes it happens something. But then also you and the bike is damaged. Yeah. But I totally understand that people in advance have the thoughts about, okay, what happened if?
Yeah.
So therefore, of course, there's a service procedure here in-house. It's very easy. For example, if you have a service issue during your daily commuting, for example, then you just go to your bicycle dealer. But in the case you have an issue in the middle of nowhere, you call our service center directly, or even write an email and get a service ticket. Yeah. And then our service team will directly reach out to you, will ask you a certain follow-up of questions, and then we decide, okay, should you really stop your journey? But this is not the case since 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah. And in the case of maybe doubt or lack of a dealer, someone can also send you the gearbox, right? And what is the procedure if the gearbox were to be sent here?
Right. Okay. So the dealer or the customer will send the gearbox here. We will wash the gearbox from the outside. We will heat it up in the oven to have this temperature difference and also the pressure, the air pressure difference between inside and outside the gearbox.
To see if it's still airtight.
Yes, if there's a leakage or not. And if there's not a leakage, we will, or even there's no leakage, we will open up each gearbox here. That's a normal standard procedure. We will open up each gearbox. We will replace all seals. We will replace parts if there are updated versions in our serial production. Yeah. And then we assemble it again. And our mostly skilled riders test the serviced gearbox on a test bench inside the service center. And this is really something which looks a little bit funny, but it's really something which makes a difference, that we really can guarantee that the gearboxes passing this process are safe. Yeah. Again.
Or as new again, basically.
Yeah. Mostly it's better than new again because you had the run-in time. Yeah. The parts are totally engaged to each other. They feel very well. And now there are better seals in it or new seals, and it runs better than day one.
And from what I understand, if that's done within the 5-year warranty period, it's under warranty, depending on the fault.
We will decide one by one what is really the issue and the case, but mostly, of course, we have this 5-year warranty. Yeah. And with the procedure of the Pinion Care structure, you have additional 2 years of warranty
after the repair. Yeah.
True, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really important detail because the gearboxes are not cheap, but in our case, we feel already after 8 months of cycling with them that you get a lot back for your money because you cannot get inside, nothing else can get inside, no dust, no water. We've had crazy river crossings, dust storms, just like pretty much anything being thrown at us. And the gearboxes have just gone on the way they did before. But it's good to know that if something happens, then there's a good repair team, a hotline you can call, you can email, you can be in touch. And I think, it doesn't seem like you're a very small company, maybe compared to other bike component companies. You are small, but that has a massive advantage because if someone does come in touch with you,
We have direct.
I think they can be pretty guaranteed for a direct line and really good care.
And actually this is our philosophy, that we build good parts which last long, which have a good sustainability, a good footprint in the end, because we have no spare parts or even worn out parts which you have to adjust or to replace again and again. So the total cost of ownership is actually very low, because you don't have this massive need of changing parts.
Changing parts all the time.
And
you invest once and you get a long-term benefit.
That's the point,
So Nico, we're here with the Outbacks. They're up for a little oil change, which I think is prematurely, but we've been told that the gearboxes should be doing a change of oil every 10,000 kilometers or every year. Can you tell me why that is?
Yeah, sure. You have to change the oil every 10,000 kilometers because it can happen then that there's some condensation inside the gearboxes.
Little water bubbles can build up in the oil.
Exactly.
And they can mess with the precision of the gearing?
No, that's just for the quality of the oil.
I see.
So,
okay. Okay. And if someone were to change the oil by themselves, what would be the exact procedure from start to finish?
So the first thing you have to do is that you have to disassemble the gearbox cover. Just with a single screwdriver you can just clip it off the gearbox. Then you have to open the screw underneath the gearbox, and then you just have to drain the oil outside the gearbox, and that's all.
And you do so with a syringe, no? You pull it out?
No, you just can drain it.
Okay. And putting the oil back in, is that done with the syringe?
Yes, exactly.
Just to create the pressure?
Yeah.
And then you seal it back up, and that's it?
And that's it, yes.
Okay. So would you recommend that, or would you recommend someone to go through Pinion to do the oil change, or do you think someone could do it at home in the garage?
You can do it on yourself, that's no problem.
Yeah, and I expect you have manuals for that available on the website. Yeah. Great. All right, so let's do the oil change.
Yeah, sure.
In terms of the future of Pinion, I guess that there's probably a lot of confidential stuff you can't tell us, but for the future outlook on the next couple of years of gearbox development, integration, is there anything interesting that you can share with us about these next few years and upcoming products?
Oh, well, let's see. Actually we are somehow a very young company. We are innovative since 10 years now. We launched the 18-speed system, the 12, the 9, the 6-speed system. During the last years, we launched a magnesium housing for the C-line in 2016. And this year, actually, we launched the Pinion Smart Shift system, which is electronic shifting for Pinion gearboxes.
Yeah.
And we were able to integrate it into e-bikes now, into e-bike infrastructure and e-bike power supplies.
Yeah.
But in the future, I see possibilities to have it mostly on every Pinion bike.
Okay. And do you think it could even come to adventure bikes like our Outbacks?
Why not?
Yeah? You would be confident enough, even in the remote places, to offer such a solution? It's
like every single Pinion product we launch, it's tested inside and in the field. Yeah. Every single detail. Yeah. And when we bring something into the market, it's quite solid. So from what I understand, it will eliminate the mechanical works. It will take the cable out of the conversion basically. You'll end up with a box and a shifter,
And is the shifter going to be even more accurate than the mechanical shifter now? Will you still have to...
It will be different.
Have like a microsecond in between shifts, or will that be gone?
Actually, you won't recognize it anymore. Wow. The shifting in the pinion system is quite fast, as you know.
Yes, yeah.
And when you shift here, it's a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
And when you have this electronic shifting, it's even faster.
Right. Well, I'm just going to put it out there. If you need anyone to test it, we'll be happy to do so.
We will contact you
on upcoming journeys.
Yeah,
and well, I just want to say a big thanks for having us today.
It's a pleasure for us.
It's been wonderful seeing all the technology inside, seeing how everything is done mostly by hand, how you're so passionate about quality and the sustainability of the product. So yeah, thank you so much for having us.
You're very welcome.
So there you have it. This has been a close tour of the Pinion factory and offices here in Germany. This is incredible stuff. We are extremely excited to keep on riding the Pinion gearbox on our bike, hopefully for decades to come. Let's see what we can manage. And we hope you enjoyed this close look at the products, at the company. The next one in our series will be Ortlieb. Quite exciting for that one. We're going to go catch a train to go there on our interrail journey through Germany, visiting all these factories as part of the factory tour. Before we go though, if you have any question about, for example, the C1.12 gearbox that we ride on our bikes, P118 or any of the other products, then feel free to ask us down in the comments. We hope you enjoyed this episode. You can give it a little like if you did. You can subscribe to the channel to see more of the factory tour happening as we move forward. And yeah, I think that wraps it up. We're going to keep on using this one a little bit more, and we see you in the next episode. Ciao, ciao.